freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, Dan and Cheryl Todd with Gun Freedom Radio coming to you from the 2026 SHOT Show in fabulous Las Vegas, where people come from all over the nation, all over the world, and we get the amazing opportunity to sit down and chat with a few of them. And I am so excited to introduce you right now to Dr. D.B. Palmer. He is a therapist and a founder of 2A Mental Health, and he is an advisor for Walk the Talk America, which is advancing mental health advocacy, a firearms-focused wellness app. We're going to talk a lot about that, and Second Amendment awareness, spreading it across the nation, which is so important, removing biases. We're going to dive into all of that. Welcome to Gun Freedom Radio.
Thank you very much. Great to be here. Great to be here.
This is so exciting. Is this your first time at SHOT?
It's my third SHOT Show, but it's the first time I feel like I know what I'm kind of doing.
It takes
Although I
a
was
few
lost
times.
for about an hour this morning.
Yes.
Getting back.
Yes. Well, we've just gotten lost getting to our hotel room. What a maze this place is.
Absolutely. I don't think I've ever been up to this section, so that was a last minute concern of will I make it on time?
And you did.
I did.
You did. And it does take a lot. The show is overwhelming, but and so can be the work that you have put yourself in, because you can be a therapist in a much easier lane than 2A mental health. I mean, let's be honest.
Right. You can find yourself pitted on both sides sometimes of the conversation. So it's certainly but it's near and dear to me what I do do personally, and so it's a passion project. It's who I am. So
Dr. Palmer, I'm just curious. So most mental health people that are trying to help mental health problems, they're anti-gun. Why is that? Because it seems like they'd focus on trying to deal with that better.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this in the firearm community for a long time, where we recognize we want to have mental health resources, and so we start having that conversation. In fact, Walk the Talk America, who I'm on the advisory board for, you mentioned that, they started through that push to try to bridge that gap. That's still their effort. Advocacy and education, they're doing great work in that space. So they're reaching out to the mental health community and saying, hey, how do we get you up to speed on the gun culture, firearm culture? And what we found over the years is that the mental health community wants almost nothing to do with that. They're opposed to it. And so the question is interesting, because the idea is that we bring in, our best care. We want to see people succeed and do well. But interestingly, along the way, as we start to dive into how did this happen, you go through an undergraduate degree, right? You get your psychology or whatever your degree is going to be in. And then if you want to get into practice as a therapist, you need to get a graduate degree. So that undergrad degree, as we probably all know now, those are pretty left-leaning fields. I mean, just universities themselves. We've seen that in the last few years, how hard they've pulled left. So just to be in a four-year university, you're trending center-left or further. Then to get into the graduate program, there's a stronger push. That faculty group is going to be looking very hard at social justice advocacy. That used to be an idea that, I don't want to go too long in this, but it used to be the idea that therapists, clinicians, psychologists, we were supposed to be neutral third parties. The idea was we're going to meet with you, see where you are, and help bring great life forward. Now there's maybe the last 6-7 years, a very strong push towards driving a client in a direction, and that direction needs to be the approved direction. And so you'll find people not wanting to enter the field because that's not who they are. And so as we look at some of the research now, 90% of the field, if you do just a basic, Grok search, tell me about the political leanings of therapists, psychologists, they'll run the numbers for you, show that the APA, American Psychological Association, says 90% of therapists are left-leaning, if not further than that. Whereas based on the last election, for example, maybe 51, 54% of the American population are center to conservative. So those numbers don't match.
Yeah.
And the field isn't moving. They're not budging. And so my push has been to how do we may not be able to go backwards, but how do we move forward in a great direction?
Mm-hmm.
So it's confusing to me because probably 80% of the homes have firearms, and we have mental issues in homes, and yet we're ignoring it. If you don't face it and talk about it, you're ignoring it. And so how does that help?
Yeah, the trouble is the field labels it immediately as a concern, as a red flag, right? So we're all familiar with that. More and more states are enacting red flag laws. I would want to go on record and saying that Walk the Talk America, 2A Mental Health is absolutely opposed to those.
Right.
There's no due process in that. It's outside the constitutional process. So it's baffling. How do we wrangle that back out? And I think it's one through we push forward. We don't give up that ground. We've given up a lot of ground, not by choice.
Yeah.
So I think in the last few years, Charlie Kirk was a great example of rallying people, inspiring people that we don't have to sit where we were, and we can regroup and move forward.
Well, I have to comment on the red flag law. The firearm is not the problem.
Correct.
And so if you take away the firearm, what other tools does a person have in their house that can cause problems?
Right.
Cars,
lots,
knives. So that is not fixing the problem.
No.
So we're putting a cover over something that's not really curing anything.
I think you could argue that if the field is left leaning, then sometimes their resources aren't necessarily meant to deal with the thing that they're saying that they're meant to deal with. So there may be two things happening at the same time: a front for the issue, but it might just be more convenient for them to disarm people they disagree with.
And that is, so key to that disconnect is if I am a firearms owner and I am going through a rough patch in my life and I want to go and seek some, just even talk therapy, maybe not even anything even super deep. There was a time that would have never even entered my mind that, oh gosh, I could end up getting labeled or flagged, or there could be some other maybe even unspoken conversation that's going on with me and my mental health professional. So now I don't trust. So instead of getting the help I need, right? Now I'm just stuffing. I'm just trying to power through. That's not good.
You're doing the thing that we all say, don't do that, right? And you understandably are doing that thing. Why? Of course, you're going to protect your interest, your assets, your security. But that's exactly what we need to break through that. But we can't change the field en masse. What we need to do is develop a resource that's proactive and actually responds.
And you're an example of that yourself. You've come alongside Walk the Talk America, doing the amazing work that they're doing, and they say that they are bridging the gap between the two audiences, right? The mental health professionals and those of us who are, just people who, we go through rough patches. And I was surprised that they didn't have more people like yourself saying, yes, I believe in this. Yes, I want to sign on to this. And so that they could be a resource for us on their websites. Like, oh, I live in Arizona, so who's in Arizona that can help me? And it's like, they've had a rough time of drawing people like yourself.
It's scary to step out. It's kind of coming out of the closet and recognizing that I'm a firearm owner. I don't label that as bad, and that's a bad thing in our field. I've got the guns and mental health sticker on my laptop, and every time I go to a conference, to get my continuing education courses, which are a lot, we do that every year, and they're wacky usually. I open that laptop, that thing is sitting loud and proud, and I get all kinds of questions, and it begins a conversation. I think Mike Sodini, the executive director of Walk the Talk, has done a fantastic job of getting into those spaces and letting people know that he's not a crazy guy. He's a really good dude, and he's willing to have the conversation. He's willing to talk about it, and that we need to do more of that. I think a challenge is the few of us therapists who have stepped out into this space. We're full. I mean, there's only so many of us. So I can only see 25, 30 people face to face.
It's a good business plan, if nothing else, right? Because it's a rich field of possible clients that you're leaving on the table because you've got this bias.
So if there are 20 of us, let's say, and we can meet 20, 25 people, 30 people a week, there are a lot more firearm owners who could benefit from talking to somebody. So that's a big challenge. How do we move that forward? And that was a question that Mike raised to me a couple of years ago. We'd already tried a number of things, and he said, so DB, if you could, magic wand this thing, what would you do next to do the service side of this? Yeah. And that began a 2-year-long question of how to meet the need in a new way.
And I think that's going to lead us to our next course, but I'm sorry I interrupted you a moment ago.
Me, but I lived in a house where there was attempted suicides, and I think, I have no education on this, but I really believe that helping people recognize when there's a problem, and then finding a way to prevent that problem, getting help to prevent the problem, not a new law.
Right.
We need to recognize that there's a problem with this child or there's a problem with this parent, and find ways. It could be your friend or whatever, or even having a retail store with a person walking in the door, how to recognize that maybe they have some issues. And this is training, and this is making people aware. And I think what you guys do is great for that.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. It's incredibly important to believe that the industry, that these people have your back and you can have the conversation. If we can't get there, then people are going to continue to not talk, right? And you don't know what's going on then. And you will never know everything. But if we create a space where people don't think they're going to have their firearms confiscated or be on some list forever, right, we're going to go a long way to meeting some more need. Yeah.
Well, and so to answer that 2-year-long conversation and thought process, and to fill a gap that's out there, have you come up with the answer?
I think so. I've spent the last couple of years contracting with various startup agencies and working with them. And what I found is, one, left-leaning, really hard. But in those startups,
running into this.
But what I found though is that the way that they're doing the work that they're doing. I mean, there are millions of people that they bring into care, and that was really instructive. Okay, how are they working with that volume of people? And doing fairly good work, antithetical to our field, but being productive there. And so, you don't have to recreate the wheel, you just need to get a new driver from that. So looking at those entities that are working in the employee assistance space and in the broader mental health app space, I won't mention any of the big names, but we're probably familiar. You see those ads scroll or at least I do because probably my field, but of the big name mental health apps. They're really, really smart. Really, they're a multi-billion-dollar industry. They're doing fairly good work, as long as you don't own a firearm.
Then the wheels fall off.
Right. So for the 107 million firearm owners, at least that we know of in the country, there must be a resource for them. Yeah. And so my pitch is basically to launch a mental health app with conservative clinicians, gun-owning clinicians on the other side, not an AI resource, but real people on the other side, working with that volume. None of us can meet the need in a private practice setting. 25 hours, 25 clients a week doesn't work, but it can work if we allow the app and the tech side of things to ramp that up. It's been great to work in those other companies to get a sense of what they're doing, and then, let's shake this out and make it our own.
So I have one other question. So in your field, you're trained to listen to people, right, and to understand them. So when you go to these conferences or trade shows and you talk to the left-leaning type, do they listen to you, or are they just hearing the words and letting it go?
It seems like you're an amazing ambassador at least, right? Maybe creating a little bit of cognitive dissonance?
I think it's a cognitive dissonance for sure. So they start to see this as a real person, and maybe he's not evil, right? But, our field is the leftist field in probably any of the certification professions. And so that's still a pretty big climb. It's a big sell.
And it's, I know as an advocate for the Second Amendment, it is in our Bill of Rights. It was created for everyone. And so this, whether you're left or right, shouldn't matter. But obviously, that's where we are. And you have to, embrace reality, especially as a mental health professional, right? But, there are a lot of left-leaning people that have started to realize the value of, self-defense and that sort of thing. So we don't want to, pigeonhole an entire, side of the political aisle. But it is a conundrum to me how this has played out. And I think it really does kind of, people fall on the lines of, do I want to rely on myself and minimize the impact of government on me? Or do I want to outsource that and expand the impact of government on me? I think that's kind of really where it lands. But one way or the other, we do know that there are people that, because of whether they kind of ascribe to a D, right, Democrat, or the R, Republican, and how weird is that as a mental health professional, that you're like, should that be a question on your form? Why are you coming to see me, and what is your political ideation? Right?
It's become true. It's unfortunately become true. I'm in all kinds of listservs and mental health groups, and it's the few of us conservatives who band together in our own private channels just constantly are baffled by what we see amongst other professionals.
Yes.
And the level of education, the level of competence has gone so low because it's now a bar of political stance, not a bar of professionalism.
Right.
And that's...
It should be for the people, and that's it. It doesn't matter what you are.
Absolutely. Well, and getting back to hopefully one of the pieces of the puzzle that's an answer is you have created, or you're in the process of creating, an app.
Absolutely. We are 2amentalhealth.com.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I wish I'd planned that. Yeah. So I have a great co-founder that I'm working with, and he and I are building out this beta version. We're looking for companies in the 2A space who would like to be in our beta round, or who would like to log on with us as an EAP, Employee Assistance Program. Whether you already, that's the thing, many of these companies already have an EAP plan. It is part of their HR package. But all of them, I will mention, all of them are the same cats. It's the same group. So they're funding a resource, unbeknownst to them, that is lobbying directly against them. Right. And my pitch is, don't do that.
Yes. Stop doing that in all areas of your life.
Fund a resource, right? Don't empower your enemy. Empower someone who's going to actually align with you and care about your employees. Yes. So it's both on the employee side, the Employee Assistance Plan program, and the national launch. Yep.
And so I don't know if this is going to translate to the camera, but I have this great little QR code here, and I love how you've broken it down into bite-sized pieces. You said you're seeking 1,000 people to donate $50. It's just $50. I mean, that's basically your coffee budget for the month, right?
Yes.
I mean, let's be real about this. And if you really believe in helping people with their mental health issues and protecting people who might fall into suicidal ideation and helping heal families, if you believe in this, it's $50, people. And do you have a name for this app?
Well, it's going to be called Resilient Patriots. Resilient Patriots. That's the app name. The challenge here is that if we bring on an investor for this, they take a piece and they also then give their input. And we want this to stay two-way forward without any shift in that. And so it's dangerous taking on another partner unless they're really, really vetted. Yeah. So our pitch is, let's bring it out to the people. Yes. Who already want this. Yes. So, or know that it's needed and they want to kick in $50 for that. Yes. There's no reason we can't find 1,000 people who say, we recognize this is a concern, let's launch this thing.
Well, you found one right now.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do this.
So. Push that little QR code while we're sitting here. We're going to set the example for everyone out there watching. And when you do see this, you'll be able to navigate to Gun Freedom Radio, click on the guest tab. Dr. Palmer will have his own guest page, like all of our guests, and you'll be able to navigate from there very, very easily. Where it's embeddable, we'll embed it to make it super easy. Seriously, this should be done in 3 days' time, people. There are so many gun owners out there. If we really put our money where our mouth is, we can move that needle on every level. And when you have somebody who is right there, tip of the spear, saying, just help me, I'll do the work on your behalf. Come on, right? Right.
Well, we're at 2amentalhealth.com. You can find our link there to hit that stuff. Our Instagram is the same thing, 2amentalhealth.com, or Resilient Patriots as well. Yep.
And did you just recently change your name so people are already following you?
I did. It was a
That's
hard
so
change.
hard rebranding.
It was a hard change. I've been backcountry professor for 10, 15 years, raised the kids in Alaska, and so we were, backcountry wilderness people. We still are, but it's a new chapter. And we're in the States now, which outside of Alaska, as we call it. We're outside in the lower 48. My practice is the bulk of my work, and so I used to be doing, I could talk long on that, but it was a hard shift. But that's where our heart is. That's what our family is doing. That we're committed to this effort, and so no longer backcountry professor, but now resilient patriots.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if they were following backcountry professor, it just automatically transfers over?
It does.
Okay. So nothing to do there, but you tell all your friends to go to Resilient Patriots. What an amazing name. It just paints a picture. So he's already told you how to find him and support the work he's doing. The rest of it is up to you. Any closing comments as we close out?
Well, we can absolutely do this. Looking forward to hearing from you, looking forward to the support, and I'm looking forward to launching Resilient Patriots.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much for sticking around. Thank you so much for all the work you're doing. Dr. Palmer, this is so important. Everybody stick around. We have so many more awesome interviews coming up straight from 2026 SHOT Show.